Thank you guys for joining us for tonight's Unite for CRT conversations. I got to get used to saying conversations, but I really like the new name for what we're doing instead of calling it a town hall meeting, just because it's turned into more than just a presentation. It's turned into more conversation amongst everybody, which is what I absolutely love. And I hope that carries on over tonight with our discussion and our special guest that we have with us. But just real quick, for some people that might be new to the group, thank you for joining us. Unite for CRT is just a coalition of wheelchair users, and we want to try to help bridge the gap between the perception and the reality of living with a disability. And basically how we all started is a group of us were advocating when we could all be together up at Capitol Hill advocating for complex rehab technology. And at first we just wanted to, stay in touch when we were away from Capitol Hill, see the progress we were making in our state, see how people were doing, what they were doing to continue advocating on their own. And before we know it, it just kind of turned into, well, we want to make this group more than that. We want to make this a group where we can gather, CRT suppliers, manufacturers, clinicians, family, friends, caregivers, people with disabilities, that we can all come together and not only educate one another, but share stories with each other. And that's why we've moved over to Unite for CRT conversations, because that's what we like to do. We like to have conversations here. So thanks for joining us tonight. And I want to introduce our guest, Kyle Romano. He's the co-founder and co-host of the DISAbleist Network and the Report, and we'll get into what that is. But I just want to, first of all, say thank you for joining us tonight, Kyle. I can't wait to have a conversation with you. Kyle was actually one of the front runners that got Unite for CRT up and off the ground too. So it's good to have you back with us tonight. And before we get started with, finding out more about the DISAbleist Network and Report, if you don't mind, just give people a quick background on yourself, Kyle.
Yeah, I'll go first, and then I'll let Christine talk about herself. So I'm a quad amputee as a result of bacterial meningitis. At least that's what my official diagnosis says. I studied disability in graduate school. Got my master's in communications, and then I was like, well, now I've got to actually face reality and get a job now that school isn't a thing anymore. And so I work at a complex rehab provider called Custom Mobility down in Largo, Florida. We're pretty well known down like in the Southeast United States, especially in Florida. And Christine is actually a client of ours, as I am also a client of ours. I've been a client since I was 3. They put me in my first power chair, which was a Hot Wheels power chair. So that was a thing. But yeah, that's everything about me. I'll let Christine say her bit.
Well, hi guys, I'm Christine Garner. I am also one of the co-founders and co-hosts of the DISAbleist Network. I am very proud to say. Aside from that, I am a part-time college student. I also have another job that I do in the community besides advocacy work. And I am a multi-title holder, and all of which has to do with the advocacy work that I do in the community. So as you guys can see, I keep myself very busy. And that's all I have for you guys for right now. Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us, Christine. And I'm glad that you were with us too. So this is awesome. When I'm talking to Kyle, if you want to chime in and, expand on some of the responses or give some more information, please do. I'm so glad that you're here. This will make the discussion, even more widespread. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. It's my honor and my pleasure.
Well, you are more than welcome here. So thank you so much. But so yeah, let's get going. Let's get started. Kyle, why don't you kick us off and, talk about the DISAbleist Network, why you wanted to start it, and kind of how the involvement got going for everyone on your team.
Yeah, so I'll try to be as quick as possible because it's a pretty, can be a long story. But essentially, I was speaking with my good friend and our producer, Lou, and we're trying to figure out, the best way to like get out into our community and also help raise awareness to people who aren't in our community, and empower disabled people kind of by like connecting each other, right? So the reason why we came to the name for our company as being the DISAbleist Network is that it's supposed to be, like a fun, like a TV network type thing, right? So like we crack jokes about like being disabled. Christine and I tease each other all the time. We joke with the guests, all that kind of stuff. And all that is to make sure that, people feel comfortable with disability, because a lot of times people will, like ignore us, or they'll feel so uncomfortable that they won't know what to say and they'll just never talk to us. And think about how many people have missed out on such like rich conversations and interactions and friendships with disabled people, just because they were afraid of what they were going to say, right? And so the other reason why we chose the word network specifically is that we want to act as kind of like a network hub type thing for disabled people, in terms of resource knowledge and that kind of stuff. So if one person over here doesn't know where to go to, have their wheelchair repaired, but another person over here wants to get into adaptive sailing, they can help each other out, that kind of thing. And the dream is that if somebody has an idea about something that they want to do, they'll reach out, and then somebody in our group will automatically be like, oh, well, I know the answer. Right now, our group isn't too big. We actually have a group that's only open to disabled people called the DISAbleist Nation. And that's the point of that, is to get everybody talking and sharing resources and experiences, and also like funny memes about being disabled, because like, who doesn't like memes? So yeah, I don't know. Am I leaving anything out, Christine?
No, I think you said it beautifully. I think selfishly why Kyle and I wanted to start this was so that our disabled community can become a natural and normal part of the conversation. We're an often left out minority, as we all know. And Kyle and I are trying to be advocates of change in that scenario. And I think that's one of the major reasons why we created this. As I always say, it takes a team to make the dream work. So we are trying to build that team to make the dream work.
I love it. Well, you have a great concept, and I love the progress that you guys are making so far, which is awesome. And I know, Kyle, you mentioned the DISAbleist Nation. That's your guys' Facebook community. So can you talk about that a little bit more, and how people can find you guys, how you get to be a part of the nation, and just everything that you guys discuss on that page?
Yeah, so if you search, or if you want to look at just the URL, we are at DISAbleist on Facebook. That's how you find the DISAbleist Network. And if you search for the DISAbleist Nation on Facebook, you can find our group pretty easily. All you have to do is send a request, because obviously, to some extent, we have to vet to try to make sure that we're actually adding disabled people and not able-bodied people, because again, it's a safe space for disabled people. It's not for caregivers or anybody like that, because there are already spaces for caregivers that do an incredible job, and that's not where we want to, that's not our bread and butter. We want to make sure that like our interaction is specifically with disabled people, and working with different allies of our community is a different thing, but the nation is in and of itself like its very own like entity. We want to make sure that people who go in there, maybe they're having a bad pain day that day, and they just don't know what to do, and they need somebody to talk to. They can post in there, or maybe somebody is having difficulty finding funding for something, and then another member knows how to help them, that kind of thing. So it's very much a, hey, I'm here, I'm bearing my soul to you, because I don't know where else to turn, because honestly, for a lot of things, I don't know where to turn. And I've been disabled for my entire life at 33 years old. So that's the whole point behind the nation. The nation is an extension of the network, as is the DISAbleist Report, which is our podcast platform.
And that's what I want to bring up next. And again, Christine, please chime in if you want to add anything to the discussion, for sure. But So tell me, I know you kind of lead it into it a little bit with the Facebook Nation, but tell me a little bit more about your podcast and some of the topics that you guys like to talk about and the content that you like to create.
Yeah, so we are very much, again, like I said, about empowering and showcasing the lives of disabled people. A lot of times disabled people obviously don't get the same exposure as able-bodied people do, or when we do succeed, it's like, oh, look at this person, and we become the exception really quickly, right? They're like, oh, they made it. And then, there's, also with people with invisible disabilities, the whole concept of like masking and having to pass as being able-bodied and then being judged, otherwise, that kind of stuff. So the report is really a way of taking the veil that covers disability, yanking it off, and then letting the people behind that veil speak for themselves. A lot of it too is to make sure that and Christine and I have talked about this before, and I'll let her weigh on in it too. But the other reality of it too is that I've been thinking for a very long time that the disabled community seems to be fractured by diagnosis. So a lot of people seem to go to their diagnosis. It's true, it's very comfortable in there and everything, but the reality is that when we want to fight for rights for things like access to CRT, the only way that we're going to do it is by reaching across the gap, like so to speak, reaching across the aisle and making sure that we have good relationships with all other disabled communities, because like I've said on our platform before, always make sure that you advocate for other disabled people, even if it doesn't directly benefit you, because you're going to need that person in that group to advocate for you when you need something too. So even if you're not blind, even if you're not hard of hearing, if you see legislation that goes up to be passed in relation to that or whatever, it behooves you as a disabled person to support those people, even if you might not know anybody who's blind or hard of hearing. Or anything like that.
Absolutely. And I think another reason why we created the report was to not only highlight the accomplishments, but also highlight the struggles of the things that we go through, right? Because we can't raise awareness if people don't understand what we're going through. So I think that Kyle and I can brag a little bit here, I think that Kyle and I do that very well. We try and make our guests feel as welcome as possible, and we're open to any and all topics, really, just to get the conversation going and get the conversation started, and to highlight those struggles as well as those accomplishments, because they go hand in hand. And like Kyle said just a little bit ago, another thing is, it is true, our disabled community likes to fraction themselves off as far as their diagnoses. And that's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. You should be very proud of your diagnoses and have a community that is strictly your diagnoses, so you can learn something from that and grow. But in order to be a great resource and a great advocate, we need to come together as a community. It can't just be, a fraction of us. It has to be all of us, and it has to be all of us telling our stories. And I think that's one of the things that Kyle and I advocate for the most, is for everybody to come together and share our stories and share our struggles, because that's the way that we're going to get our seat at the table. And that's the way that we are going to accomplish the greater goal for the disability community.
No, that's awesome. I love how you guys are giving a platform and a voice too, which is awesome. I think that's really, really cool what you guys are doing. So tell me, like, where you guys can, or where people can find the podcast and how often the podcast airs. Well, where can people find you guys?
Yeah, so we upload our podcast. I don't know what the video. I guess it would be more along the lines of a vlog, video wise. But anyways, we upload our podcast to Facebook on Facebook Video, and we also upload a video version of it on YouTube. And again, if you just search DISAbleist, anywhere, like you'll find us. And then we also have the DISAbleist Report is available on Spotify and a bunch of different other podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, stuff like that. Not sure why. For some reason, iTunes won't work for us. I don't know. So if anybody knows like why Anchor for some reason won't allow me to upload to iTunes, like hit me up. But yeah, so that's how you can find us. And we are too in the process of not gonna go public with anything yet, but Christine and I are batting around an idea for a new segment that will be starting soon. That will be a lot of fun. That is actually going to be featuring one of our guests that we've had on our show as an actual like cast member, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have a lot of great variety of content for you guys. So make sure you give us a listen. And if you have any suggestive topics that we could do that we haven't already covered, or maybe you think we didn't cover the right angle, you never know. Feel free to reach out to us. We are very open, and yes, we have secret projects in the works. So make sure you guys look out for that, because it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that a little bit, and it's exciting. I can't wait to watch you guys unveil that and hear what it's all about. So that's pretty cool. I can't wait for that. One thing that I learned when I was speaking with Kyle before we did this, just to get a better background on the DISAbleist Network, is your guys' whole team that works together on this behind the scenes. Everybody that's a part of this is disabled, correct? Can you kind of expand on that a little bit and the roles that everybody plays?
Yeah. So going into this, Christine and I have a very candid friendship anyways. It's like we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and Lou is the same way. And so, we were talking before, and at the very early onset, and I remember we had a meeting. It might have been our first or second meeting. I can't remember which one, but it dawned on me. I was like, oh man, like we're only 3 people right now, but like we're all disabled and we all have very different disabilities. This is incredible. Like, I don't know of any other, like company, platform, whatever, like totally run by disabled people for disabled people, that kind of thing. And so we've actually added a couple of members to our team. They're listed on our Facebook, and we're going to be putting up bios for them on our website. But one of my good friends, Rami, is our audio producer, and I have another friend named Brendan who is going to help us kind of like on the ground, so to speak, and connect us with local organizations that he either works with or knows with, to have us go in and speak with them about how these places can specifically improve on their accessibility, and all of that kind of stuff. So we were never really accepting applications to begin with. I kind of just I was like, ooh, these people are good. These people do exactly what we need them to do. Like, Christine, look. And so we added these couple of people, and I'm not necessarily saying that we're closed as of right now, but if you'd like to be a part of the project and you have time to donate, and you think that you would like it, shoot us an email or a Facebook message or whatever. I'm sure I'll give Christine and I'll give that out probably at the end.
Absolutely. And I think, just to add on a little bit here, I think that it is the coolest thing in the world that we have built a company with solely disabled people. Like, that to me is astonishing. And I think it is one of the most beautiful things, because you go into businesses, right, and you don't see the appropriate amount of representation for the disability community. And I think we're slowly starting to change that, which is a good thing, even though we have a long way to go. But I think it is so cool, and I use that as one of my highlighting points when I go out and speak to different individuals of our community, to make sure that we highlight our company is not only for the disability community, but our whole team are people with disabilities. Like, what? To me, that is the coolest thing ever. Like, what? So I just think that's really cool. I'm just really, really proud of us. And like Kyle said, you know, we're not necessarily that we're looking for right now, but we're continuously expanding our team, because having a really good team who has really good qualities helps us all out, right? Because something that I might be strong in, Kyle might not be strong in, and vice versa. So if you think you have an amazing quality and you need to be on our team, feel free to reach out to us, because we'd be more than happy and willing to listen.
And I'm ready to delegate. Like, there's so much work that like I'm beyond ready to delegate. So please.
Yes.
Well, I just got a few more questions for you both, and then we'll open it up so that people can get some of their questions answered too. But so, you know, you have the Facebook Nation, which is a great community where people can go for information, just to vent. And you guys have the DISAbleist report, which is awesome as well. But Kyle, you were also telling me that you guys are trying to put together like some resources for people. So if they need to find information, like a resources page, what type of resources are you guys putting together for people, and how can people access these resources? How can they find them?
Yeah, so if you go on our website, it's www.disablist.org, spelled DISABLEIST. We actually have a resource page on our website, and the resource page is divided into different categories. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head because meningitis brain, but I know that we have one for like recreation, we have one for health and wellness, one for sexuality. Again, a lot of topics and areas that are very important, but are usually not talked about or people just don't know about. Like in terms of, you know, like recreation equipment, like we were just talking about that like before we started in like on, you know, this episode. And that's information that usually you have to be privy to or know somebody who is privy to that information, or else you're not going to even know that, for instance, like track chairs exist, right? And so the whole point of like our resources page is that we want to make sure that we put all of these different places under one roof on our website, to not only make sure that we try to drive business to these other businesses that support disabled people, but also obviously like it's in the name of the page, like to act as a resource for disabled people that might need something. And as well, if you know of any resources that you don't see on our page, we are always open to adding more. It would be my dream to just continuously add to that resources page and make it really, really big and ridiculous to navigate. So I know that Lou is probably gonna like, if he were here, he'd be kicking me under the table saying that, because that means like way more work for us, because we also manage our website and everything. And so like Lou writes like the code for it, and we you know, I like write everything that is read on the website, all that kind of stuff. So again, we have a lot of stuff to do. We all wear a lot of different hats, but yeah, help us be better for you. Please reach out to us.
And I will challenge you all to go check out our awesome website, because our whole team put it together and it's amazing. Okay, one of the coolest websites, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased. It is really cool. And I challenge you, if you see a resource that we do not have, reach out to Kyle or me and be like, hey, you need to have this resource because it's a great resource for our disability community. Please, 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 because we're continuously expanding and it takes a whole team of us to get all these great resources.
Yep.
And you guys have already given out a ton of information, you know, your website, your Facebook page, everything like that. But is there any other specific information that you want people to know about, ways to contact you guys? I know you mentioned Facebook Messenger is a good way to do it through the Facebook Nation. Any other information that you want people to know so that they know how to give you resources, content suggestions, just chat it up with you guys? Well, how can they do that?
Yeah, I am on Facebook. Obviously, you can search my name, Kyle Romano, and if you see the dude in the wheelchair, with the DISAbleist Network logo next to him, like, you know that you're in the right place. And then if you would like to email me specifically regarding anything in relation to our resources page, or you would like to know anything, or you would like to be on the DISAbleist report, anything like that, you can email me at my email address is kyle@disableist.org. And again, that's spelled DISABLEIST. And then I'll let Christine give her stuff.
And then for me, you guys can look me up on social media. I'm kind of everywhere. That's part of my advocacy work that I do. You could just look up Christine on Facebook, and you can message me through Messenger. That's cool too. You can look me up on Instagram for those of you who are not avid Facebook users. And my Instagram is DISAbleist Christine. So you can look that up and it should just come right up. And for those of you who want to reach out to me to either be on the report or have resources or anything like that, you can email me at uniquelychristine@disableist.org.
Oh, and also I am on Twitter and Instagram at DISAbleist Kyle as well. Forgot that. I have to make sure that I remember to say that from now on. So thank you, Christine. You reminded me.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Hey, you guys got to plug that social media, man. That's the way you get around. So good job.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that I had to get the kind of the conversation rolling. So I want to open it up to the group, and if you guys just want to unmute your microphone, you can ask Kyle and or Christine some questions. If it's better to put it in the chat, if you're having any sort of technology issues, that works too. But let's open it up. Let's get some conversations going.
Hey guys, I want to jump in first. I'm Ben, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and it's so awesome, and y'all's spirit and enthusiasm is so cool and contagious.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank
I
you.
just,
I appreciate that.
if I was thinking of what's one thing I could ask you guys is, like, if you could see yourselves progressing with this 10 years from now, what's y'all's dream for this, in-game dream?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different paths that can take. My ultimate goal would be to have a national presence, and to be a resource that is available to disabled people everywhere, having the ability to connect people from across the country and across the world. If resources for them aren't specifically available in their area, helping them figure out where to go in their area to have their needs best met, because sometimes it's really terrible, and I don't want to say it, but the best thing that the best option that we have sometimes is to really the second best option. And so really making sure that disability is at the forefront of general conversations. I, as well, Christine and I have already talked about this, but we already have plans to go in and speak at some businesses and all of that kind of stuff. So, as part of that, I would like to see that the DISAbleist Network, to use an ableist turn of phrase, has a hand in making workspaces more accessible for disabled workers. I would really like to raise awareness for and figure out ways to get legislation changed that allows us to have more than a measly $2,000 in our bank accounts at one time, because there ain't no way this dude is saving up for a house or anything like that if all I have is $2,000 in my bank account. Thank you very much. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Also, too, making sure that people are aware of and know how laws related to disability actually affect the lives of disabled people. And I'll just use like one example, that salary cap or income cap or whatever you want to call it that I just mentioned. also impacts the decision that disabled people have in relation to the decision to get married. So if they have a life partner and they get married, their combined annual income can't reach over $3,000 a year. And that is an absolute travesty. I think that it says a lot about the way that the government thinks about disabled people. It communicates that the government and other bodies don't think that disabled people are worthy or should be seeking out love. And so there are a lot of underlying factors in relation to our laws, the way that we talk, stuff like that, that actually have a very large impact on the way that disabled people have to navigate the world. And so to make a short answer very long, I would like to make sure that Christine, Lou, Rami, Brendan, and myself leverage the network to raise awareness for the end goal of giving disabled people the best lives and giving us the best opportunities that we possibly could have.
Absolutely. Just to add on there a little bit, for me, I think my goal is to have, like Kyle said, to do nationwide, but to have a fraction in every nation and every state, so that there's somebody in New Mexico, for example, who's using our name to help advocate and make positive change. I want one in every state. I want one in every nation. Like that's my goal. That's what we're here for. That's selfishly why we wanted to build this. And another thing that's very important, and I know I'm speaking for Kyle here too, is we want to help to build better advocates, right? Because not everybody knows, where to go or what to do, or not everybody is a force of nature like me, okay? It's just not everybody's like that. So we want to help and to create that atmosphere for them where they feel safe to advocate for themselves and speak up in the right way, so that people of legislation or different things that they decide to do in their life will listen to them. Because as I say, everybody deserves a seat at the table. So we really want to give our advocates that chance, and just help them to, like Kyle said, have a better life than they already have. That's our main goal and main purpose, really.
Yeah, everybody has a seat at the table, and we brought our own seats. Thank you very much.
Yes, that just makes us cooler because we brought our own seats,
You guys rock, man. I'm so glad to have met you guys tonight. I'm really, really proud of you, and wish you the best. If there's ever anything I can do, I'm here. How did you guys get the merchandise that I see on your website?
Yeah, so thank you actually for pointing that out, because I always forget to say that. Yeah, we do have a merch store on our website. So if you'd like to support our cause, we would greatly appreciate it, because all of that money goes directly back into funds, because it costs money monthly to run a business, which we are just bleeding right now. So any amount would help. We're also going to be creating a Patreon account where people will get like early access to shows and get to like weigh in on what we talk about, that kind of thing. But we just made a cafe press store. It was really cool because Lou is also a graphic designer. And so him and Christine and I sat down and we were like, hey, what do we want to do? And so we came up with the idea of the logo. And then from there, Lou had to go and tailor the logo to fit each piece of merchandise that's on there. So it's a really good thing that he's great at that and quick at it, because like I could do it, but it would take me forever and a day. Well, hold on, let me backtrack. I wouldn't have been able to create the logo on my own. Once I have something, I can manipulate it. So Christine and I are both very thankful to have him on the team, like
Yes.
if not for anything, like just for that. But he does so much. He likes to stay behind the scenes. He does so much to help us. And the Cafe Press Store was just one part of it. So yeah, if you would like to support us, we got some cool stuff on there. Christine's got a bag and stuff that she shows off all the time. We got shirts and coffee mugs and pins and all that kind of stuff.
We have some really, really cool stuff. And one of my favorites, I'm surprised I'm not wearing it today, but I think it's because it's in the laundry because I wear it all the time. One of my favorites, we have our logo that goes across your chest. And then it's like a yellow, like a mustard yellow. But I love that. And I wear it all the time. You can ask everybody. They know my company because I wear it. It's just one of my favorites. So be sure to check that out.
I'm glad Ben brought up the merch section, because I was going through your guys' website after Kyle and I spoke that day, and oh my goodness, the merch is so cool. I think that's awesome that you guys got that. That's a great way to, another way of promotion. So I love it. So good job, Ben. Good job bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. You're the hero.
And we appreciate you.
Sure thing, man.
You guys need to get Ben's wheelchairs up on your website. Just saying.
Send me your stuff, Ben.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I'm a huge fan of Ben.
I am too.
No, we all are.
Thank you.
Hey, Jen had a question.
Yeah.
Cody had a question, actually.
Cody has a question. Well, first she wants to tell you something here because, well, Cody is 14 years old. She's a wheelchair user, and she's very into tech. And of course, she's 14. So here, I'll let her use her talker, and she can ask her question.
Okay.
Turned up.
Can I, beautiful, please? I get Twitter because I want to follow this amazing people on it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's begging me to get Twitter, which I have been telling her no to, so that she can follow you as an amazing person.
Well, first and foremost,
Now look.
yeah. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for that. Secondly, I'm not going to step on Mom's toes because I don't want her to get angry at me. There is a lot of crazy stuff on Twitter. There's a lot of great stuff on Twitter. There's also a lot of weird and not great stuff on Twitter that can be found very easily. So maybe Mom can make a Twitter and you can follow us there. Because on Twitter, actually, it's a little bit different. Well, Twitter and Instagram is a little bit different. Christine and I both have our own personal accounts, but obviously our personal accounts are, we see them. So anything that would come to us in relation to the network or whatever, we would see it there super easily.
Well, she does have a Facebook and an Instagram account. So thank you for your wise words. And I don't think Twitter is in her realm at this point, but I thought that was a good question. So
I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all. It's very, very hard to raise a teenager nowadays with all this social media. Like Kyle said, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. So it's hard to find the balance in between.
Yeah, you won't be missing out on anything that we do though by not having a Twitter, because we post everything everywhere all the time.
Literally.
You won't have to worry about that.
that's awesome. Thank you.
I was thinking really good advocating for yourself, Cody. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent advocating. I agree with your mom because I have a teenage daughter who's 13. So I agree with your mom, but good job trying to, advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Very advocating for herself. There's no doubt about that. That's been our huge goal her whole life, really is. Okay, how do we help her advocate for herself? And her main question earlier was, how does she actually create a podcast? Because and I know this is kind of off topic, but she is very into tech. We've done some TED Talks, or we did a TED Talk. We've done some podcasts.
Let's call her.
She's wanting to create a podcast that's called Let's Talk with Tech and roll with it.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So There is a website. Oh, and this is not off topic, like, because we're content creators. So please don't think that question is off topic at all, because we want more disabled content creators out and about, like, for sure. So there's a website called Anchor.fm, like the radio stations, like FM. And if you go on there, you can make an account, and it's super easy. And you can upload your podcast to that, and it will automatically pop it over to Spotify, Google Podcasts, and whatever else is out there. There's a couple too that I wasn't necessarily aware of on my own. But I guess that Anchor is owned by Spotify. So it takes a little bit of time to get to the other podcast vehicles. But once you publish, it immediately goes and is live on Spotify. And then I would also say microphones and stuff are pretty good nowadays on phones and that kind of thing. But so you can actually just start it using whatever you want. But my recommendation would be down the road to think about things which we haven't expanded to yet also, so don't think that we're like experts or anything like that, but it is important to graduate later to like better quality cameras, audio interfaces, things like that, just because the more you grow your audience, the more professional they're going to expect your content to be, to sound, to look, all of that kind of stuff. So those are kind of things just to keep in mind in the beginning, so that when you get to that point, it won't be like, oh my God, what do I do now?
Yeah, there is so much out there. We have a green screen, we have lights. We haven't invested in microphones and headsets yet, but that's probably the next thing, because I really want to encourage this for her. And I think that that's a good way to get her story out there, but also encourage her age group to really start moving forward and voicing their, and advocating, as you said, Christy, advocating for themselves. And technology is the way it is right now. And so I have a lot to learn so that I can help her learn.
We all have a lot to learn. Don't feel bad about that. And like Kyle said, it's super easy. You can really, I mean, with the world of technology and social media, you could really do it on a phone. Like, you don't need all the fancy equipment. It is smart though to gradually work your way as her podcast grows to the fancy equipment, but you don't need it right off the bat. And the other crucial piece of advice that I always give people, because I think it's so important, is always be yourself. Always, always, always be yourself. Do your podcast, be your shining star self, and people will love you. Always be yourself.
Yeah, that actually is a really good point. So if you make a podcast, I know that, this specifically, we're talking about tech and that kind of stuff. So make sure that you do what's interesting to you, because you'll get the most out of that, because people will reach out to you too and want to collaborate with you and all of that kind of stuff. But then also at the end of the day, when you're doing that, it's not even going to feel like a job. Like when Christine and I get off of a call, like she always, it's gotten to the point where I laugh and I just don't say anything, and she laughs because she knows that's my way of joking with her. And she's like, I love my job. And I'm just like, yeah, Christine, I know, I love my job too. This is great. Like, so she's our company cheerleader for sure, because I can be Eeyore from time to time. But yeah, we for sure, like, if there are any other questions too that that y'all have, reach out to us at a later date too. It doesn't have to only be here during this conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
so
if we don't know the answer, we can help you find the answer.
Yes, that too.
Because Kyle and I, don't know all the answers. We started our own business and we're still learning as we grow, as everybody does. And so if we don't know the answer, we will help you find it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Are you guys, do you have an LLC?
I believe that we're in the process of that right now.
Jen, Cody, can you have Christine's phone number and Jenny's phone number? Okay.
You guys rock, man. I'm proud of all the hard work you guys have been putting in, for real.
Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah, you guys are very contagious. Your attitudes and your motivation is very contagious. So that,
Yeah, we above anything, Christine and I have, said that we want to make sure that the network in and of itself, if anything, comes across as being genuine. And Christine and I are naturally like jokey people. Like we laugh all the time. She knows I'm not going to say anything in relation to it here. I'll save that for our platform. But I have a dark sense of humor. We kind of just like laugh a lot and stuff. And the whole thing that we want to do, especially with like the new segment that we're kicking around, is we really want to kind of jar up that humor more and be very real about stuff that we're going through in our lives, related to topics that people don't talk about often. I know what's on the docket for Christine and I to delve into definitely a lot more is talking about sexuality. And I personally don't think that there's nearly enough space, and especially enough safe space for disabled women, whether that be online, in a physical space. And so we want to make sure that we do everything that we possibly can to make sure that we're a resource for ladies growing up, learning that kind of stuff, because going through puberty as a person with a disability, pretty much regardless of what you have, is a really different experience than like our able-bodied counterparts. And that process is obviously very different between 2B men and women, right? And so we just want to make sure that we're a safe space for everybody, like I said, regardless of what information it is that you might be interested in. And also, the new segment will use humor as a way to like kind of, because again, I said I have a dark sense of humor, and Christine knows this like probably all too well at this point. But humor is a really, really good way to connect with other people. There's for instance, the stand-up comedian Josh Blue. I used clips from his stand-up comedy in a class that I used to teach on disability and communication. And some people came up to me afterward and they were like, I had no idea like what we read about like for the reading today, because it was like so over my head, but I watched the video and like he was really funny, but like then I got it. Like, and they're like, I don't know how that happened or when it happened, but like I understand so much better now. So I think that's another thing that's really important to point out for disabled people in general, is that I think that humor is a very underutilized tool for us, and that obviously we have to put on a front a lot of the time, right? We like the strong, like disabled people, like this is us, and obviously that's not the way that we are all of the time, but I've made it a point to try and make sure that I exude a very open attitude, so that people are more apt to come up to me in public. People come up to Christine all the time because of what she does, and she's gorgeous, so that speaks for itself. But because at the end of the day, I think that a lot of the ignorance and a lot of the ableism that is created around disability is done just because people don't know other disabled people. And disabled people ourselves are not immune to being ableist. Somebody who is disabled can discriminate against other disabled people. I've seen it happen before, and it's absolutely terrible. But yeah, so.
And I think just to add on a little bit here, I think another reason why we created the network was for, you know, the youth that is coming up in this world that has disabilities. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The youth that is coming up in this world that has disabilities, you know, I selfishly, we want to create a safe space for them to grow up in, and not only to grow up in, but to feel empowered in their beautiful uniqueness, as I would say, and to, you know, not be ashamed of it, or not, you know, be made to feel weird as society likes to make us feel. And I think that's another reason why we created it, so that they could have that safe space to grow and become those advocates and really embrace the individuals that they are in a positive way.
I think that's really cool because for myself, I mean, I've been paralyzed since I was 9 months old. So to be able to, you know, kind of grow with an environment where you do feel safe and you do feel open to ask questions and to get information, I think that's huge because growing up, I wasn't around a lot of kids with disabilities. So, you know, if there's those outlets and there's those communities that are, you know, made to make people feel safe, I think it's wonderful because there's so many things that people don't want to discuss. And because they just don't feel that they know where they can go. So I love that that's the environment that you guys are trying to create. I think that's so important for people that have been, you know, paralyzed for 38 years like myself, and then also newly injured people. I think it just really makes a huge difference for you know, people to try to feel open and, you know, willing to talk about concerns and questions. So I think it's great. I think it's so great. I'm even getting a little teary-eyed, which I think is awesome. So but I just wanted to tell you guys thank you. And are there any other questions or comments that you guys have for Kyle or Christine?
Kelly, you've been quiet. I bet you have something to say.
I don't know why I'm in a quiet mood today. I'm normally a big extrovert. I've enjoyed this. It's always wonderful to meet fellow advocates, and they're obviously very passionate about what they're doing. And so much of what they said resonates with me. And I guess it's okay to mention that I'm going to actually be on their podcast next month. And yay, I'm very excited about that, especially, you know, hearing what you have to say, what you're all about. But I was kind of curious how many viewers you have, how many people watch the videos at this point.
Right now, our viewership isn't super high. I haven't looked lately, but I think that some of our like higher performing videos are in like maybe the 50s or something like that. But we're still fairly new in that regard. So we're hoping that just continuing to plug away will help us get more numbers. We're trying to get more regular too with uploading, but because there are so many like moving parts with the recording process and then the production process, both video and then audio, and then actually the process of actually uploading the stuff I didn't realize till the first time I sat down to do it, to upload because we technically upload to 3 different places manually, one of those being the podcast platform that will shoot off to all the other ones. But yeah, the first time I did it, I think I was at the computer for like 2 hours, because you also have to write, you know, like video descriptions, episode descriptions on the podcast. You have to create tags for the videos. So you have to go through and look, see like, okay, which tags perform better. Also, which tags are, you know, like useful and related to this video specifically. That kind of stuff. Yeah, our one of our most popular episodes is actually the first one that we uploaded. With one of my friends. His name is Tim Shin, and we actually talked about his experience with dating as a wheelchair user. So that's one of our better performing ones. And don't worry, like we're going to have more people on to talk about dating and to talk about gender and sexuality and all that kind of stuff. Especially though, you know, because A, it performed well, and B, because those topics are like never talked about really, especially in mainstream places. So we want to make sure that all of those topics are given their due diligence and had time to shine.
And
Well,
I
Kyle, you guys
we-
are definitely welcome back on my show because I just checked the numbers just so you guys were seen by 187,000 people from my show from the last time you guys were on. And I know my show grew since then, so you guys are welcome to come back on and let's expand that and see if we can get more people so we can partner up and make a bigger impact.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And I think with every episode, it varies with our viewers. You know, like Kyle said, we're still new and we're still growing. And I think the more content we put out there, and the more really good content we put out there, the more viewers we'll get. And it also just depends on, you know, what our viewers feel like watching, because
Yep.
sometimes we go on really touchy subjects and not everybody's comfortable with watching that, and that's okay. You know, that's what we're here for. But that's why it just varies, because sometimes it's funny topics, sometimes it's really touchy subjects. You know, it just depends.
Absolutely. Well, does anybody else have anything for Kyle and Christine? We try to keep these to roughly an hour. If we have more questions or comments, let's definitely keep them rolling. But I just want to be respectful of Kyle and Christine's time as well. So does anybody have anything else
I
that they
think one day I'd like Christine and Kyle to set up something so we can chat because I got some ways to help you guys expand a little bit. So let's partner up together and let's get more movement going. So reach out and set up a time so we can chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christine will reach out to you.
Yeah, I can do that. No problem. I can do that. Thank you very much, Tina. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. Hey, we're only stronger together. None of us are going to do this alone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm a little older than you guys, but we still need each other. You guys have different resources than I have. I have different resources than you have. We have a slightly different approach. So let's just do it all together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, ever since I met Ben, I'm Ben's biggest fan. I mention him and give out his website to more people than I know.
And hey, as I always say, age is only but a number. So
Yeah. And I need one of those wheelchairs, Ben's, because we're going to be demoing one of those. So we need to work on that.
right.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, anything else for Kyle and Christine?
Thank you so much. It's been very, very incredible to talk to both of you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Very much. Thank you so much for the honor. I know I speak for both of us, but this was really cool and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
And thank you guys. I mean, seriously, Kyle and Christine, thank you for your time and all that you're doing. I think you guys have a great platform and a great mission that you're trying to accomplish. So I'm so glad that we could speak with you tonight and hopefully get the word out there for a little bit more for you guys. And hopefully people will, you know more about you and be able to follow you and follow the podcast and just really become a part of that, the DISAbleist Network. So thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. And the last thing I just want to say is our next Unite for CRT meeting is May 25th. Is that correct, Annette?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And are we still planning on talking about traveling and accessibility?
That's the plan.
Beautiful. Well, that's our next meeting, you guys, May 25th. We will talk about traveling and doing it, with a disability and some of the challenges that people can face with that. So please join us on May 25th and contact Kyle and Christine. They're both rock stars. So let's help get them out there and expand their brand.
Yes. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much, y'all.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
guys.
us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.